All right, let's get into the Friday mailbag. Anybody can be on the mailbag. You simply have to write into info@davidpakman.com. We have a whole bunch of different types of emails that we get. We get policy, deep policy wonk type emails. We get superficial criticisms. We get praise. And we also get trolling. And today we're going to start with just a little bit of trolling. It's always good just to get a sense of the types of things I get. Peter wrote in, and Peter says, "You're a political hack empty vessel. Are you ever going to take that war criminal's phallus out of your mouth?" And "your" is Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. Out of your mouth. "You pro-imperialist, progressive, bootlicking, peasant brain loser. No wonder you have a for-profit opinion show, not a new non-for-profit newscast. You don't do news. You preach one-sided BS." What's very interesting is this is from a left-winger. This is left-wing hate mail. They believe I am an imperialist and not really a progressive, and that I just love Joe Biden, the supposed imperialist war criminal, and that the fact that this is not a nonprofit show is part of the problem. Now, what's funny is he kind of agrees with Alex Jones in a sense.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money, but everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad.
Yeah. So, yes, my show, like basically every other YouTube podcast show, is not a nonprofit. A lot of people might not even realize to have a nonprofit, you need a board. It's actually quite complicated to be a nonprofit, and it doesn't really make sense for a whole bunch of different reasons. We considered it at one point. These are folks who are in the "you can never be progressive enough" category. And that's why I flagged this one. We get a lot of right-wing hate mail, but the left-wing hate mail is also interesting because in theory, Peter is someone with whom I probably agree 95% of the time, maybe even 98% of the time. But this is exactly the type of stuff that hurts the left. And you really hate to see it, but I can't control it. It is what it is. Vincent wrote in. Vincent, now this is right-wing hate. Vincent is very anti-Semitic. Vincent says, "Pakman, why is the left woke crowd so dominated by Jews? Without Jew support, the left would die on the vine. Same is true for wokeism. Only the financial and intellectual support from Jews allows wokeism and leftism to continue their evil existence. Why do most Jews support such evil?" Yikes. So remember, a bunch of different things. Jewish Americans, much like Black Americans, are a very left-wing voting bloc, one of the most left-wing voting blocs in the country. When it comes to wokeism, as defined, I guess, by Vincent, it's a relatively small part of what there is on the left. I think it's extremely overrepresented in social media and extremely overrepresented by right-wing media. But sometimes when they say wokeism, I've talked about where there can be excesses sometimes on the left. And I say, sure, I can talk about this, but these aren't like huge deals on the left. Sometimes what the right means by wokeism is we're against treating people terribly because of their identity. That's considered wokeism. Earlier in the week, we had this clip of this Republican mom saying, "I don't like all this Marxist stuff like anti-bullying." Sometimes that's what they mean. They're just really angry that it's not okay to criticize people who don't look or sound like you anymore. So anyway, pathetic stuff, anti-Semitic stuff for sure, but very, very common out there. Here's a nice voicemail about my recent interview with Adam Steen. "My compliments. I was quite impressed with your interview of Adam Steen of Wisconsin. I really don't know how many interviewers could keep such an even keel when faced with some of the responses Adam had. My compliments to you, sir." Yeah, I get this question a lot, like in my personal life as well. How do you remain so cool with these people? There's two parts of it. One is just the experience of doing it. The second part, sadly, is a little bit of desensitization. When you've heard this crazy stuff for a decade and a half, you do become somewhat desensitized to the level of depravity that is exhibited by many of these folks. And I don't know that that's a particularly good thing because I'm sort of suffering from a normalization in a sense. I'm still against the things they say, but I'm used to hearing them when they are very much not normal. So something to think about. Ryan wrote in about preventing life, also the notion from the Adam Steen interview. And Ryan says, hey, David, the notion of preventing life is completely absurd. You're possibly preventing life with nearly every action you take. For example, I didn't get my morning coffee today because I was running late. Therefore, I didn't happen to run into my future wife. Therefore, we didn't go on to have children, thereby preventing a life. Any action can be seen as preventing a life. Thanks, David. Ryan from Milwaukee. Yeah, it's sort of like it's like a chaos theory on right-wing brainworms. Adam Steen was saying not only is he against birth control, not only is he against abortion, he's against birth control as well, because you're preventing life. Very, very weird argument. And it didn't make it. He even seemed confused by it, quite frankly. Carl wrote in. Carl says, are you streaming any debates? I'm in Pittsburgh and would love to see you do a stream of Fetterman versus Oz or Shapiro versus Mastriano. Oh, and a silly name suggestion for the financial show, Pakman, the Financial Fact Man. Okay, yeah, so I have a whole bunch of different streams that are scheduled when it comes to debates. Tonight, we've got Abbott versus Beto. Next week, we have J.D. Vance versus Tim Ryan. And then we have Mark Kelly versus Blake Masters. The week after that, we've got DeSantis versus Christ, Whitmer versus Tudor Dixon. And if it happens, the Raphael Warnock versus Herschel Walker debate, although who the hell knows whether any of those debates are going to happen. Week after that, we've got Rubio versus Val Demings. If it gets confirmed, Oz versus Fetterman. And then the week after that, nothing scheduled yet. So there's actually close to like a dozen different debates that I plan on covering, and I hope you'll join me for those. Dan wrote in, David, sir, why doesn't Fetterman just take the Montreal Cognitive Assessment exam? I would love to see Republicans make light of the very exam Trump has been bragging about for years. Yeah, we had a voicemail caller last week with a similar idea, which was basically Trump took a dementia stroke brain injury test and brags about it like it gets him into Mensa. If Fetterman took it, Fetterman had a stroke, and now there's people saying, oh, he can't think, whatever. If Fetterman took it and passed it, would Republicans then be satisfied? And the answer is, of course not. They would all of a sudden say it's not sufficient. I know that Hannity and Trump and everybody brags about this test like it's the be-all, end-all of intelligence and cognition. But if it was what Fetterman said, and by the way, I got an email from a neurologist in our audience who said, David, it's not a what if. Almost certainly Fetterman was given that test, that assessment, because he had a stroke, and it's typical that that's what you do. It's not used for what Trump used it for. It's stunning, stunning stuff. Then a different Dan wrote in about our YouTube thumbnails. Now, this I want to address in some depth. Dan says, those YouTube thumbnails that involve a ridiculous facial expression, dude, please don't do that anymore. Your content is remarkable and consistent and on point. You don't need that cringy kind of gimmickry. Much love, Dan. Listen, guys, they're just YouTube thumbnails, okay? I get it. There are trends on YouTube and other platforms that are kind of gimmicky, okay? Sometimes they're even a little cringy. But one of the things we do is we adapt. Our titles today are dramatically different than what they were a decade ago, okay? The conventions and what does well on our different platforms change over time. Titles have changed. Our set has changed. The audio equipment has changed. How the show is produced has changed. And yes, thumbnails change. And sometimes we test thumbnails where I have a goofy look on my face. Okay? If that alone makes you not want to watch or listen to the show anymore, then I'm sorry, because really the content is what I would hope would be most important. But we're rolling with the changes. If you don't adapt, you die in our space. So listen, if those funny faces don't do well, we'll stop using them. If they go out of style, we'll stop using them. If they hurt us, we'll stop using them. But we're just testing different things. That's all. All right? Please, folks, with peace and love. Barney wrote in about something that is really, really important. Barney wrote to me and said, America is a food desert. David, Englishman, traveling through the USA here, currently in Chicago. I speak to a lot of Europeans on my travels, and we are shocked that much of the US is a food desert and that we are all completely undernourished and cannot follow a typically healthy diet we might adhere to in Europe. It's impossible to find cheap, healthy food literally anywhere, writes Barney. It costs $7 for a salad, $13 for a foot-long Subway, for example. I even found it's more expensive to buy Florida oranges in Florida than it is for me to get Spanish oranges in England. Yes, I understand inflation's a factor, but this is happening everywhere. And despite this, groceries and healthy foods in particular are obscenely expensive. I think the reason is you have one national supermarket, so there's no competition. And there are a general lack of supermarkets compared to the UK. So this part I don't know. We have more than, don't we have, I mean, there's Trader Joe's, there's Whole Foods, there's, well, that's actually interesting. Is Wegmans national? I'm not even sure. Maybe Barney's onto something. Maybe we only have like 2 national supermarket chains. Like I know Stop and Shop is just a Northeast thing, I believe. Yeah, that may be a problem. Listen, Barney is completely correct. And a lot of people, you know, when I've traveled through the Midwest, small towns in the Northeast typically have great food and plenty of supermarkets, you know, upstate New York and Vermont and, you know, Maine, these places, there's typically no issue. But when I've been in like Wisconsin, when I've been in Northern Indiana, when I've been in even Kansas City, Missouri, it's like, okay, right in the city, but then it gets a little bit rough. It is a major problem. And there's multiple problems. There's the pricing issue, of course, the food desert issue where there are, I mean, even in New York and Boston, there are poorer neighborhoods with a dearth of options other than chain restaurants. And there's also a lack of education, sadly, as to what constitutes a healthy diet. What does it mean to eat a healthy diet? Well, I don't know. I eat chicken and vegetables. Well, what do you mean? Well, yeah, I mean, it's wings that I've fried as well as, you know, mashed potatoes, right? They're fries, whatever. There are definitely misunderstandings about how a diet should be established. And honestly, part of the problem is that old school food pyramid also was somewhat inaccurate and confusing. So Barney, you have correctly pointed out that there's a lot of problems with food here in the United States. And it's really like you're kind of like trying to dig yourself out. But as you do it, you're digging another hole. I don't know if it's the right metaphor. Get your emails into me. info@davidpakman.com. Tell me your stories of food deserts, probably worthy of a clip coming up soon. And we will see everybody on today's bonus show, which you can sign up for at joinpakman.com. Coupon code INDICT. That's the coupon code. Everybody knows why the coupon code is currently INDICT. We need some indictments. The evidence is there. It's time. See you on the bonus show or otherwise back here on Monday.